Okay, we're going to begin this next story. It's called If You Touch a Horse, a Dog or even a Cat in the Next 3 Months, Do Not Come Back Here. It's a rewrite of a story from It's a Rum Life at Northcote, Book 2, 1998-2008. These very words were spoken to me quite seriously by the consultant orthopaedic surgeon at Louth County Hospital Outpatients Clinic after I had arrived to his clinic riding my Honda Super Dream 250cc motorbike. The fact that just at that particular time it was my one and only mode of transport was of no consequence. The added fact that as soon as removing my crash helmet I put the sling back on my arm, together with the fact that he happened to see all this out of his office window, did me no favours. It was when I asked him for a course of physiotherapy that he became apoplectic. My outpatient's appointment had been for the week after I'd had my dislocated shoulder pulled back into place late one Saturday evening at Louth County Casualty Department. That next week had come round very quickly, and although it was a different consultant, he had all the notes. "You've had 2 major injuries in rapid succession," he said bluntly. "I know you've only put that sling on to come in here," he continued, "because I saw you get off that motorcycle in the car park just now. But believe me, you need to wear it for the next 6 weeks. It was then I asked about physio, and my opening paragraph to this story was his earnest reply. He wasn't far wrong actually. The arm managed to progress slowly, but after a short time it became very tired, and the sling was most welcome. As I originally wrote this story, it was over 8 weeks later after the incident, and the arm would still only move not quite halfway up. The pain was often intense at night. "I'm writing this at 5 a.m, I wrote. "Had to get up as I've bent it somehow and can't sleep." The first injury a month or so earlier had been treated at Skegness Hospital. You can listen to this story, Tripped Over the Blooming Dog. Evidently it was a broken shoulder or something like. That injury had left this peculiar lump of bone sticking up on top of my right shoulder. They say it will not go away, and it's a bit tender sometimes too. The cause of this most recent injury was circumstances. It was a horrible, very rainy evening, and I was trying to get Admiral, our Suffolk horse, to back out of the trailer box without falling off the loading ramp. The ramp was so slippery in the by now torrential rain, and despite the anti-slip bars and carpet, he did manage to fall off the side and sit on his bum. In the process, he yanked his leading rein hard and just pulled my right arm clean out of the shoulder socket. We had 2 volunteer families staying for the weekend, as we'd taken 2 horses to an open day in support of the horse centre at Willoughby, a village up in the Wolds about 12 miles away. To hospital again. This accident was far worse than the first shoulder break a month previously on the same side. There was no chance I could drive myself this time. The pain was well off the scale. Phil was elected to take me to hospital. Louth, a larger hospital than Skegness, where I'd been previously, was where I decided to go, as it was late in the day. It was 3 times the distance, and I'd forgotten that, typical of the English transport system, major roadworks had been organised for the busiest time of the year. The road to Louth had no less than 4 sets of temporary traffic lights en route. The journey of normally about 20 minutes took almost an hour, and that was late in the evening. It was Saturday evening, and as usual the busiest night in casualty. 2 chest pains and a head injury preceded me. My pain just would not go away, and no position was free of agony. Finally, after what seemed like hours, the doctor got round to me, and I seemed from then on to jump the queue. X-rays were done quickly to take my mind off my problems for a few moments, and incidentally highly amusing, I was transported on my trolley by a porter with an electric tow truck. The X-ray department was 1 floor down. down a steep slope. When I arrived back, uphill this time, they whisked me into another room and put me to sleep. That is really the last I remember until the next day. Somehow Phil had taken me home and I woke with 2 slings and a huge bruise on my chest. I'm still sure the doc used his foot to get a good purchase on my arm. Note written towards the end of 2001. That shoulder break mended quickly compared with this second session. I can see this one taking a year or so before it's completely functioning properly. In fact, in 2017, when I revised this story for new book 4, the arm would not bend more than half what it originally used to, and there was very little power if I wanted to lift something above shoulder height. It was in fact the 13th of July 2017 when I managed to dislocate the left arm here in France while hanging about in the garden. My French surgeon did confirm that it was standard practice to use one's foot to get a good purchase. This last incident is covered by the story Tarzan I Was Not, also on Buzzsprout. There we are, that's the end of that little story, brought to you by Cracker Books, written and read by Keith Sanders. We'd like to conclude this story with some pictures of Admiral, who was our very first rescue horse at the Northcote Heavy Horse Centre. Admiral was in his element the day that BBC Songs of Praise visited the centre to make the film opening and closing scenes for a Harvest Festival programme based on Louth. Admiral was a Suffolk punch, a Suffolk horse, the oldest and rarest breed of heavy horse in the UK. They're always chestnut in colour, and that's spelt without a T. Now, Pam, as you can see in the picture there, Pam Rhodes, was a wonderful professional lady and had left her home to do this particular programme with a burst water tank in her loft and cold water cascading down her staircase. You would never have known. There we are, we hope you enjoyed that story. Was brought to you by Cracker Books, written and read by Keith Sanders. Now then, can we ask you something? If you enjoy seeing these films that we put on YouTube, could you perhaps give us a like? And also, it doesn't cost anything. You could actually subscribe to the channel, and then YouTube will let you know just as soon as we release something new. Additionally, if you want to look at all the other publications that Cracker Books have produced, then you can find links to them all by going to our website. The address is www.crackerbooks.fr. Now that's ever so easy to remember, isn't it? www.crackerbooks.fr. On that site you will find links to all our publications. There are over 200 of these audio films now. There are 200 audio stories, and there are over 10 complete books. You can download any of these to any device of your choice. They're all free to download. There's hours of entertainment. I do hope you enjoy having a look. And for the moment, thank you for being with us.